Hey guys, this is Jim Fix, aka Fillmore. For those of you who love QF, a podcast about Howard Stern, and would like to donate some money, there's two ways now you can do it. You can join our Patreon page, which is listed in the graphic you're seeing now. But also, if you'd rather not do a subscription-based thing, even if it's $1 a month or what have you, you can use our PayPal account, which would be jimfix76@gmail.com. And you can donate whatever you like, however you like, one of those two ways, and we'd more than appreciate it if you'd like to do so. Thank you very much.
It seemed to me like it was a love story that a month later you were divorced.
It wasn't a month later. It was several years later.
Come on.
What do you, come on? What am I lying?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, what do I got to lie for? I'm divorced over 10 years now. What do I have to make that up for?
You've been with Beth for like 9, right?
Yeah.
All right, well. Would you get like divorced and then meet Beth the next day?
Just about, yeah. No, I got divorced after I was separated. And then I got divorced. I don't know. It was a year or two. I'm not good with dates, but the fact is that when I did the movie, what can I tell you? I thought my marriage would last forever. Shit happens.
JD answering a question right now.
Yeah, I'm like Mushmouth over there. That's the best I can do, John.
I was gay way before I met Beth. I have a wide varying interest level.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do, when it comes to media.
You have a very gay interest level.
I love Smallville. Beth doesn't make me watch Smallville. What do you think, I do everything Beth wants?
My girlfriend speaks fluent French.
No.
Yeah, so she,
No kidding.
yeah, so she knows what standard, like but she's shy about it, but she could say to the waiter, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I respect anyone who could speak another language.
That's a classy broad.
She could speak German, French, and English.
How'd she learn all that?
Yeah.
Well, when she was in Europe, she just picked up the language.
Oh, when she was in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Beth always says to me, you're much older than I am. You're 19 years. What am I going to do when you're dead? Blah, 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 blah. And I go, honey,
She's going to have a party.
let me tell you something. We're going to have a party.
Oh, look now we know how Robin's thinking.
Stop it. No, now you're going to say, I'm making a
You're
joke.
fucked up.
A joke.
Oh, I didn't even I'm a dark motherfucker. My mind didn't even go there.
Wow.
You guys are ridiculous.
You suck.
How dare you? You assholes.
Wow.
We're busy yesterday shopping for her birthday gift.
You're an
You are
asshole.
shameful.
Come on, you know why
Everybody
that.
here
Wow.
says everything to me.
Arnie, but you're closer to him. You're a girl.
Ouch.
That's why it's a joke.
That hurt.
You know what I was saying?
Yeah, not from you. You're not that funny. I got news
I
for
was
you.
thinking she's going to have to wait a long time. I mean, you've got like genes on your side. You're going to be like 150 years
I
old.
said
before
thank you,
feel
Chris.
it.
I said to her.
It's a joke.
Yeah, okay.
She doesn't have to start planning for the party for years.
Welcome, everybody, to the part 2 of the February breakdown thus far. This is QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm your host, Fillmore, a.k.a. Jim Fix. And with me, of course, is our breakdown mistress of the night, Raven Alexis, your favorite. Woo! And she did, like I said, her continual thorough job of clipping all of the month of February, minus the days he was off. But she requested a special Photoshop for this series of breakdowns, and I'm doing like a whole series of them on the same theme based on what I can get online. Can you explain the Fabulous Gambit?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I like the Queen's Gambit, and I asked Fillmore to do some Photoshops for the breakdowns, especially because this was something that Wiggy talked about. He is a chess player, I'm not sure, but he often talked about this, and it was funny because who is a bigger queen than anybody else we know? And that's Wiggy. So it played on so many levels. And the show was good, the Queen's Gambit. I'm a fan of it. But that has nothing to do with the Photoshops. It's just purely the idea of him touting it, him being an awful chess player, him being a queen.
Yeah.
And the idea of a gambit is something that's calculated to gain an advantage over somebody else, whether you're talking chess or warfare, or in his case, verbal warfare, which he often does in his passive aggressive fights with Rob and Beef.
Yep.
So I thought it was just too good to pass up, and I asked that we could use it for the breakdowns. So enjoy.
So what's the name? Is it Anya Taylor-Joy? Is she the main actress? Is that her name?
I believe so.
Okay, I apologize for cutting off her head and putting wigs there because I actually like her. I think she's a good actress, and but it just worked out so well. I sent Raven the head on the face, like face, a face to face shot, and then there's another alternate Photoshop that's just a side by side shot, and I added a little little text on a book. I added like a Bugs Bunny style animated book that says chess for 79 IQ or something, chess for low IQs and stuff like that.
Nice.
So it's just the devil's in the details. Matthew Schultz will know all about that. The little things in the Photoshop is what makes it pop. At any rate, we're going to go right into February 10th, and we're going to talk about jazz. Now we're going to need a little help as I needed help with Olivia Jade, and Hunter Schafer required a little bit of research. Who the fuck is Jazz?
All right. So Jazz was a boy who early on decided he wanted to be a girl. And the parents were in support of that. And TLC has managed to make a show with 4 seasons starting in 2015 when Jazz was, I believe, 16 or 17. So I think she's 21 now. I know the numbers aren't adding up there. I'm a little cloudy on that part. But the important thing is Jazz has been taking hormones for a long time. So Jazz has started to develop as a woman, but still has had boy parts. And we're going to hear Wiggy's take on how fascinated he is on this TLC show that covers her parents, her boyfriend, and all her private parts. So that's Jazz. Now, the show, I think, is still going on, but I haven't seen it. I've only seen still photos on Google, and I've heard way too much on the show, actually, and it's just not my cup of tea for TV watching. So I think that the fact that he is so into it, and that's also the show with the 1,000-pound sisters. It's the 600-pound life. He's totally into these really extreme lifestyle shows, and whether it's projection, jealousy, I'm not sure. But we'll see in the clips. You guys can determine for yourself. I mean, you don't have to take our opinions as gospel. It's just, it's not what we want to hear at 7 a.m. in the morning, right off the bat, about how deep is your vagina, or using body parts from her asshole and her stomach to make a new vagina. I can't. I mean, I haven't even had breakfast. I'm still working on my coffee or my tea, and it's just not. It's just so hard to type.
You're finding it hard.
That's
finding it
my
hard
life.
Impossible to ingest your blue waffle after that. Now, I will say the 600-pound sisters, or whatever the fuck they're called, that one is not that's not something we're going to say he wants to look like that. He just loves seeing people that are the complete opposite end of the spectrum of what he's trying to go for, which is, of course, Karen Carpenter. But with Jazz, the whole transsexual thing, or the transgender thing, it's right in his wheelhouse. And again, I don't know of anybody this fascinated with in my life. I know hundreds of people. I do not know anybody this obsessed with being transgender or, watching this stuff. It's not fascinating to me. Like, to me, it's almost mocking to be so involved in it. You'd have to have some ulterior motive, yeah?
I think we kind of went through this when Caitlyn Jenner became a woman. We, the whole shock of that sort of blew open the doors for people. And nowadays, it's really not shocking. It's not anything to take note of. It's to each their own.
Yeah.
If that's what your path in life is that you choose, so be it. But for him to pontificate about this and use his parents as a sounding board for what he would have wanted, or how he would have handled it, or what they would have sounded like if this was him, if he was Jazz. There's a lot of projection. So that's why I clip these. I'm trying to give people a fair share of what we listen to. Good, bad, ugly, mostly ugly. And but hang in there, because we're going to get to a good Foo Fighters interview after this.
For sure.
That's all I'm saying.
So clip number 1, guys, is Meet Jazz.
Yeah. A little tired today. Was up late last night watching I Am Jazz. I watched that. Do you watch I Am Jazz?
What is that?
This is a 17-year-old dude who, used to be a dude. Now he's a transgender. Now he's a she. And she's getting ready for her bottom surgery. And I've been.
Wow. Where's this on your crazy Discovery Channel where you see the fat people and all that?
Okay, so Robin's already So she didn't know. If she says she didn't know what it was, I believe her. There's no reason to lie.
True. I don't see any reason for that. Who knows? It doesn't really matter either way, because Robin's going to play it off as, oh, it's that crazy fat person show that you watch channel. And it, like I said, the anger's building.
Yeah,
But
she absolutely fucking
keeps
hates
it
that.
tucked away. So
Yep.
whatever else is being tucked away.
Yeah, like the quarters in her gun. Okay.
Yeah, it's on TLC. It's the same channel as 1,000 Pound Sisters. I love it. I got Tammy and Amy, 1,000 Pound Sisters, it's probably the best television, even better than The Bachelor.
My bad, guys. I got the weight all wrong. 1,000 Pound Sisters, my 600-pound life. I'm losing. I'm losing. My memory is going in my old age. Number 2, it's Wiggy sashaying happily about Jazz's titties, and I can't even believe we haven't stricken titties from the lexicon, but here we are.
Everything. I've gone through her entire high school years, but now she's doing like a homeschooling thing. So,
Jazz is that young? That she's in high school?
Oh yeah, She knew she wanted to be a chick since she was like a kid, and she started on hormones. And this is great. Now, finally, we're up to her getting her vagina.
Finally is the word he chose to use. Like he's been waiting for this. This is his who shot JR moment. Other people were like, did Scully really get did Mulder, was it Mulder or Scully that got kidnapped? It was Mulder.
Scully got abducted.
Sorry, okay. So, there are cliffhangers and there are cliffhangers, guys. And when you're waiting for some guy to get his dick carved into a vagina and that's your cum shot of your show, maybe you might have some issues you want to talk to the shrink about a little more. Yep.
This is his 67-year-old life. This is what we get.
Okay, one sec here.
And, she's always had cock and balls, which bums her out. For a while, she was going to get titties, but because she's been on hormones since she's so young, she's got a big rack.
Huh?
I mean, not as big as you, but like she's got a.
Is anybody else thinking Meatloaf in Fight Club? Bob?
A decent size. I'm just going to say a B or a C cup. And she even said, I got enough titty now. The doctor even said, do you still want to get top surgery? And she was like, fuck no, I got titties. Bigger than most,
oh my God.
Yeah, she's got major titties. I'm so happy for her. No top surgery.
Okay, guys. I'm a bit at a loss, but we're going to continue. Number 3, Wig jealous of Jazz.
In the fucking pants. So now her parents are like so involved with her. Like, I'm kind of jealous because my parents had nothing to do with me.
Well, if you had had these issues, maybe they would have gotten involved.
Yeah, I could just imagine my parents. Mom, I'm thinking maybe I want to be a woman. What did you say? I said, I'm thinking about it, and I think I'm trapped in the wrong body.
If that isn't a cry for help right there, him imagining talking to his parents as if he was Jazz, I don't know what is. So let's keep listening and let's hear what else he has to say.
I agree. Let's continue all that jazz.
I'm actually not a boy. I'm a girl. Listen. What did he say? You gotta hear. Hold on a second, Howard. You gotta hear this. Howard says he's a girl. What? He says he's trapped in the wrong body. He's some kind of, he thinks he's a woman.
Now, this is the thing. He is dressed in drag so many fucking times. And we talked about this with the recent Robert Plant breakdown. Sam and I did the first half anyway. And he was calling Robert Plant a fruit. Meanwhile, he's dressed in drag for the Miss America promotion, the cover of the fucking book, The
Right.
inside of the book, like, and then going on Letterman. He went on a number of talk shows over the years in drag or in dresses, did a Christmas card with Beth, did a calendar shot, I think, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was a Christmas card, 2 Christmas cards. And had he and loves Pretty Woman. I'm running
Yes.
out of the evidence mounts where you need 2 courtrooms to fit it all in. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a photo shoot I remember where he was dressed up like Madonna for the Channel 9 show.
You got it.
And that was like a bustier and stockings and the wig and the full makeup that took hours to put on him. Of course
Right.
it does.
Yes.
Poor makeup artist.
Exactly.
Anyway, keep going.
Sure. I mean, I didn't even mention Tula the transsexual on the Channel 9 show, and that him dressing as a, what do you call her? I can't remember, but either way, it was just another excuse to put on a dress and makeup.
Who's a woman? Who's a woman? Howard. Who? Howard's a woman now.
And isn't as tired as that impression of his parents has become, like it's really destroyed now. He's ruined it. It's getting worse and worse. Like every time he does it, it's just there's less and less energy, less It used to be fast. It used to be very, very quick.
Yeah, it's really trailed off in these last couple of years, especially this year. I think his voice is starting to give out because you can hear it squeaking or almost like that puberty voice that a guy goes through where it cracks. And he sounds more like his parents when he's just ranting. Like, let me tell you something. And he's talking in his own voice, not their voice, when he sounds more like them. And you can hear all the times we've heard those impressions coming through when he's just talking normal.
Ironically, he always wanted to sound like Ben, but he really sounds almost 100% like Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Number 4, Wiggy wants to be a chick.
Now, Howard says it's a medical condition, and he thinks he was born in the wrong body. What a moron! He's a moron! He looks terrible as a man. Can you imagine as a woman?
We know. We've seen both.
Your father can't believe it.
I know. I'm listening to this conversation. Maybe you could spare me. Maybe you could talk about me behind my back.
The way you are right now, you've made a fucking career of trashing your parents behind their backs, and then to their face, of course, too. I won't deny that, guys.
What did he say? He says you're being insensitive, Beryl. What? Insensitive. Insensitive? I give him insensitive. You know what he needs? He needs a big punch in the face. Would you two
that
stop
cures
it?
everything.
If you offered everybody like $1, if you said, look, you pay like $5, $10 to line up and punch him, you'd make $1 million in terms of the fans.
For sure.
Like instead of the what is it, kissing booth, or like those things where you fire a baseball and the person goes into the dunk tank and stuff, you'd never run out of money. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good for $250. Put me down right now.
Easily just pummeling.
I never heard he's gonna be a woman. He's 6'5". He needs a third option.
Well, did you hear that he doesn't?
Okay, the next clip, I believe, ties into this because you've done such a good job of putting it into little pieces. How deep is your vagina? And all I was thinking was the Bee Gees.
Yes, thank you.
You know, the two are so insensitive.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just had a musical theme with some of these titles for clips, and I'm glad you caught on to that. Thanks.
Sometimes I'm not as well versed in some things, but every now and then I do I get the beach ball. I swing at the beach ball.
If this is, Bruce Jenner got the surgery. A lot of people have gotten the surgery.
Howard says a lot of people got the surgery. Who cares? He says he's going to transition. Yeah, he's transitioning to a moron.
That was complete out of the womb, incidentally.
Your father says you're transitioning.
I know I'm transitioning
to a moron.
Oh, my God. You two are terrible.
You're going to look like a Frankenstein in a dress.
That's an on-the-fly wig original. There's no written bits for this. This is him on the fly. He thinks he can still do it, and he can't. this is the thing that kind of disturbs me. And I know, Bob, when you get a chance to listen to this, that's Bob D, Chicago, aka Chicago Bob. But and our heart goes out to you. We know you're going through a bit of a rough weekend. The thing is, not only as I said in the first breakdown that we did for February, this isn't normal, but it's beyond abnormal. This is very psychologically disturbing when you hear it, and I can't imagine it was any less so when you first heard it.
This is some new territory that he has never quite gotten into, and it's opening up a whole nother side of him. I mean, he's done female voices or Southern voices, but to do, his parents fighting with him over this comes out to me as, he's played this out in his head millions of times. And he's had this conversation, and probably with Ralph or somebody else. Probably Ralph. Who am I saying? Somebody else. But
another man.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
And this is like multiple days.
Yes.
Within 2 weeks, I would say 3 to 4 days, we had large segments of this where it's 20 to 30 minutes of just back and forth of him and his parents. And so I tried to find the stuff that would encapsulate this best for everybody.
And so, what we're basically saying also is that this is his mandate. You don't get this on the air unless he wants to talk about it.
Right. He has total control over everything that makes the air. So
right.
This is usually right off the bat, first thing in the morning. This is like him shot out of a cannon. Like, I'm so tired, but last night I watched I Am Jazz and blah, 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 and he doesn't shut up for 30 minutes, but he's so tired. What? Come on.
I love when you're going right out of the Rob Zombie music. You had Rob Zombie music and you start talking about trans. Yes. How many Rob Zombie fans are doing that?
You go to a psychiatrist with the hormone. I didn't accept him as a boy. Why am I going to accept him as a girl?
You have 2 daughters now.
You too are being transphobic. I want to become a woman. I want to become a woman. I want to become a woman.
That's the truth.
Shut up.
That's the absolute truth. Like, I think we're hearing spontaneous sincerity.
That's why I clipped it. I had to. Yeah. I mean, we were like, did we just hear what we heard in the thread? But it's exactly right. And projection or subconscious, it's just subversive at this point. And that's the torture we have.
And how many clips that we have over the years have got on various channels saying, my parents would never accept me if I was gay. I've got, and I'll play those. I've got some new intros for you guys. You'll hear them over time. And he is absolutely, it's ironic. He said, he said that Ray tried to set his cousin Stacy up on dates and all this crap. And yet, like, maybe yes, maybe no. But it was very different if it was going to be one of her own kids that was gay. They would not have accepted that at all. So, and I believe that. I believe, they were liberal, but to a point.
Shut up! Tell him I still hate him no matter what he is.
So
your father said something. I won't repeat it.
Oh, don't worry. I heard it. Believe me.
I had a feeling when he can't even throw a ball. Wonder.
He's good with gargling balls, but throwing them not so much. There's about 10 seconds left. Do we go through the rest of it or just continue?
You can continue. I don't think there's too much else here.
Let's see.
Your father says you're the daughter he never wanted.
Yeah, I hear. Oh yeah, that would have gone over real big if I.
Oh boy,
I'm thinking of that video of remember the old home movies where Ben kisses he kisses Ellen, his daughter, on the lips, and then Howard's like, "Hey, me, I want some too," and he's like begging, like he's like, "I want in on that." It works in 2 levels. Number one, he's just a selfish, attention-seeking whore. Second of all, he really wanted man lips on his own.
Yes.
So, okay,
He's
the
such
next
a bastard.
one, exactly, number 5. Wow, my parents wouldn't let me cut off my dick.
Kind of jealous because Jazz's parents are like, they take her to all her doctor's appointments. Like they're sitting there with the doctor, and the doctor's talking about giving her a vagina, and the doctor goes, "Hey, are you orgasmic?" Because she's like, "No, I've never had an orgasm."
How deep do you want your pussy? You know,
This is the same thing he asked Siobhan last time Siobhan was on the air. And he, when she said it's part of the theme, I can't afford socks, so I'm glad you're doing well. And then he was saying, can you achieve orgasm with your, crevice or whatever the fuck it is when it's not, is it a real vagina? I don't know. You guys call it what you like. But either way, she said, yeah, totally. And he was fascinated. He wasn't mocking her. He was being serious as cancer.
Yeah, he's got true interest in knowing all the details as far as orgasm, feel, depth. It's amazing. Like if I was interviewing somebody like that, these are like some of the last questions I would ever ask them. Like there would be so many more relationship based questions and, parents and adopting children, but no, he doesn't get into any of that. He's more fascinated with the biological side and what it feels like, what they go through, where does it come from, how do they, his 79 IQ has no ability to understand half of that. Like, just throw some biological terms at him and his head will spin off. So, yeah, it's sad.
So speaking of which, I just mentioned Siobhan. How long do you think, because this is a shortened, let's call it season, a shortened year of contract days that he's got to do now in the new contract. We've established that. Do you think with even fewer days we hear from Siobhan again on the show just because he's going down that avenue?
He's really running out of former whackpackers. I mean, we've lost Bigfoot pretty much after he burned that apartment down. And Beat is a no-go.
Nope.
Plus, a lot of them just, I think, have disappeared. And so, will we see Siobhan back? I don't know.
Even as a phoner?
I hope not.
Me too.
I feel bad enough for her, and I want her to just have a life, but
yeah,
I can't imagine what her life would be like right now. And unless she's getting paid, I don't want her back.
Yeah. So I'm the same, except for he can abuse high pitch Eric all he wants. Again, I could give it. Guys, I don't give a fuck about that particular whackbacker.
Oh my God. And the parents are sitting right there.
Yeah. And then they're like, they're discussing 5 inches. They want 5 inches deep. And the mother's like, make it deeper if you can. Like they make a joke. Yeah. I would like to be reparented by Jazz's parents. They let her do everything. And they're nice to her.
What a fucking cocksucker. Your parents let you do everything you ever wanted to do. I'm sorry. I just get fucking irritated when the thought starts going down that road. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy to think that his parents are in their 90s. His dad's like 96 or just turned 97.
Yep.
And this is how he's going to shit on them. And people always ask, it's a great question. Like when his dad and or mom passes away, is he still going to tell the same stories? Is it going to get worse? Is he going to retract what he used to say and make it nicey nice? No frickin' way. It's going to get uglier and worse. We're going to start hearing new made up stories about how awful it was for him. When in fact, we know he had everything handed to him and they just wanted him to be good at something, but he just gave up on things left and right. And that's, all it came down to was daddy had a recording studio and would bring him in and bought him a car, shipped him off to, 13th grade high school.
Right.
And he just fell into shit the rest of his life. And Don Buchwald.
Pretty much, yes. He came out of the swamp with diamond tiaras that I'm sure he would have liked to have worn. And he was a useless prick. People seem to forget that. He was, by his own admission, he was talentless. And then he's complaining about how, they wouldn't support him. They did support him. They tried, and he just failed at every fucking avenue. Even radio. Ben was saying, like, you're not good. You don't have a good voice, and he didn't. This is why he's got the super deep Ben voice, the Ben modulation, years later, because he always sounded like Kermit. So, anyway, let's continue. Poor Jazz. Jazz is getting like the "This Is Your Life" treatment on the Stern Show.
My parents would have given me fucking shit.
All right, Jazz.
Home and told them I'm going to be a girl. I always wanted to be a girl, but I couldn't even talk to my parents about it, for God's sake. So, I had to straighten out.
That's not a joke.
You give it up on that dream.
Yeah.
It's
Case closed, Your Honor. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Defen-
I
the
don't think we need to play
prosecution
any more of
rests.
these. If I have, oh gosh, there's
We
more.
got balls and peen, and then there's Call of Duty.
Oh, Sophie's choice. Call of Duty.
You want to go for that
Please.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
the good news is you took hormones, so you've got a very feminine look and all everything. But the problem is you took so many hormones that your peen there's almost no balls and almost no peen, and we need your balls and peen to create the new vagina.
Right.
Right.
Oh, geez,
So-
I never thought of that.
She's got microphallus. The same condition I have.
Which, by the way, he doesn't have. Allison for years said he's normal. It's just whatever. He's a grower, not a shower, and maybe not much of one. Are we going to go with Wiggy the Wayward Woman next?
I'm even thinking just skip to Welcome Holly.
Okay, we're going to bring up Holly now. Can you explain Holly before we go into it?
Robin asked Wiggy what his name would be if he was a woman, and he said Holly.
Interesting.
As in Hollywood. Hollywood,
Yes.
Holly.
I had a secret desire to become a woman. It just wouldn't have happened because my parents, there was no, I couldn't approach my parents and tell them I was uncomfortable living in a black neighborhood. Like, that would be something you might want to bring up to your parents. I'm having a difficult time. I'm an outcast. I used to live in a white neighborhood. I'm not sure how to. No one ever asked me. No one ever said to me, gee, how are you adjusting to this change? And all your friends have moved away.
And this is something Sam and I discussed, and you and I have discussed in various podcasts. He suffered from being essentially very introverted anyway. So it was always like, it's not necessarily a race-related thing. It was a personality-related thing where he would have trouble anywhere he went. And it wasn't because his friends left, which can be traumatic. When your kid moves schools, absolutely. I switched from one school to the next between 4th and 5th grade, and my grade suffered, absolutely. But I did make friends. I made new friends. You adapt. As a kid, you learn to adapt to these things. Unless you're an army brat and you're constantly moving, and that's really rough. On that kind of lifestyle for kids. But what's your thoughts on this? He's it's not a black thing. Soon when we get into March, he recants and he goes, "It was Polish people that beat me up."
Right. Well, that's the ever-changing story. But
yeah,
it is probably true that he was shy and he didn't know how to express himself or how to make friends, how to find ways, because he was all about himself. He was always concerned about himself rather than other people. So he couldn't ask questions about other people and get to know them. That's part of friendship.
Sure.
That's part of socialization skills.
Yeah.
So he just never had that. That was just, it's innate, his MPD. I really believe he was born that way. He was always concerned about himself first and what, in that video you mentioned of him tugging on his dad's jacket, like, well, what about me? I get a kiss too, right? Don't I count? And so even at a very young age, at like 5 or 6, it's documented on a home video that it was all about him.
Yep.
I think he just never was interested in others, and he always thought people should just flock to him, and that's maybe why he wanted the Playboys. That's why he wanted the puppet show and the alcohol and the cigars and anything to lure in people to make him look like he was the cool happening guy and that they would want to be his friends because he could bribe them with those things. But he was all concerned about him. He has no concern for others. It's amazing to me because I am complete opposite in so many ways. But hey, he's like that crazy, minority of people that have this disease.
Well, so you think he was born NPD completely, and that the Playboy thing, for example, wasn't Ray trying to put him on the straight and narrow, so to speak. It was him going like, if I have these, I can have guys come over and I can look at them fucking whacking off and they're hard dicks and whatever. And then it's like a kid has the Fisher Price parking lot set and all the kids want to go and play or the best Lego. And so you don't think that the puppet show stuff that Ben put together for him and all the radio stuff was Howard really showing an interest? It was, if I have these, it's a draw for other like classmates.
Yeah, I think his transactional relationships go back even to early childhood.
Wow.
I would love to hear Bob D's thoughts on this, because I think it is possible.
Yeah, I'd love to hear his take on that. Absolutely. Whenever we get around to the next installment of NPD, because that fascinates me. I never even occurred to me on that level. So, way to go.
You know, the black people don't seem to like you. Nobody noticed a thing. You know what I mean? So if I had something like I want to become a woman, forget about it. I'm lost.
If I had something. Okay. Holly, part 2. We're going to continue.
Well, you're my son.
I'm your daughter. I wish you would call me your daughter.
And how do they keep calling you Howard? What's your new name?
And my new name is Holly.
Listen, Howard.
Holly.
Howard. I named you Howard. You were a perfect little baby.
Fuck, Bob. You're going to have fun with this one. I know that much. The next one is called Wig Stirred Up. And I'm assuming it means he's pulling his pud.
Yeah, he got fired up about jazz. This is the last jazz one.
Okay.
It's great. It's all great. Oh, man. But it stirred up something in me when I was watching the show. Yeah. I was like, wow, these parents are going to. And then when the mother's like, make her pussy fucking 6 inches deep if you can. I'm like, what a mom.
Who does she think you with?
I don't know. Like, Johnny.
Oh, my fucking Lord. Yeah, please.
All right. So I was just looking at that clip as you played it, and that was 53 minutes into the show. That was the first hour of the show that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took about 10, maybe 11 clips just from that hour, and that's what you just heard. So that just saved everybody 1 hour of their life. But how crazy is that? You know, let's move on. We've got so much more, and so I think that pretty much sums up his feelings on jazz, how he uses his parents. And he has admitted, you know, like 2 or 3 times throughout that, like, I wanted to be a woman.
Right.
So,
Well, so we'll leave that. Then we'll leave it to you, the fans, in the comments, both on Podbean and on Twitter and Facebook and of course on YouTube. What do you think? I've thought for years that he's just a fag, but now in this case, I might be wrong. It might be completely in the other direction where he wants to be a woman, like he actually wants to change genders. So what's your take? We'd like to hear from you guys.
I'd just like to add that being an MPD person, he's so into himself and wanting to be interesting and wanting to have people be into him that if he could cover both the male and the female sides of sex and sex talk, or having all those parts, that maybe, he spent 67 years as one and maybe he's got 20 more years as something else, that's just him being into him. And it plays into the whole MPD that we've talked about before.
Now we're going into writing Ben Stern's obituary.
Line through the magazine, on the Kindle and the Sunday Styles, and
even recipes, that food section.
They did an article.
Amazing.
Oh, they did an article on how to write an obituary. And I said to myself, this is so brilliant. I've always had this panicked feeling that when my parents go, I mean, they don't seem to be going anywhere because they're locked in that house. No germs can get to them.
They're too happy torturing you still.
Yeah.
When he says locked into that house, and this is someone, we have a new poster on Facebook in our group saying that they're not in a nursing home. They're actually in a retirement community. I believe it's a mix of both because Ben's in such a bad state. They've got 24-hour care helping him. So that would be kind of both, really.
A lot of nursing homes are set up to look like townhouses or apartments. Right. So for him to call it that, it's kind of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also stealing from the New York Times on how to write an obit. How can you not love that?
Yeah.
Stealing from everybody because he doesn't have an original fucking thought in his own head. Yeah. And yet he doesn't say what he's going to write, but the rest of it will play out. And I think we all know what it's going to be like.
This also dovetails into a clip I had on a channel, and I may dig it up again, about Artie had to give a eulogy at Grandma Caprio's funeral. And Howard was saying how he was just jealous of Artie's ability to speak publicly. And as we know, Wiggy has none of that ability, except when he's
Right.
at the North Shore Animal League and he's talking about pussy, and not the kind we most guys crave. So I think that dovetails a little bit into that. So there's, again, he just doesn't know what to say unless he has writers.
They need to be here to supervise me to the very end. I'm pretty sure they're going to outlive me. I really feel that way. But
Oh my goodness.
and God bless them. I hope they do. I love them. But this article, How to Write an Obituary. And, I've always been panicked because if I had to write an obituary for my dad, it would be a little complicated. I love him, but he's also very critical of me. So
I was going to say, do you really write?
Do you really write the truth that he was actually a great dad, you fucking dickhead? So
About
never be
the
heard.
dad that was critical, or do you make
No.
him look what?
now I have the answer because I had the New York Times. They tell you
okay.
how to do it.
that Ben basically he told him was the Bible, and he's got to follow the New York Times like it was the fucking Torah. Okay, so we're getting into the Foo Fighters. So how long? Just incidentally, how long was the interview with Dave and Co?
2.5 hours.
You've got to be shitting me! 2.5 hours?
No, it started at 9:09
Okay.
and it wrapped up at 11:33. So rounded up to 2.5 hours on that.
Okay.
Those poor guys are on the West Coast in the Sirius studios recording while he was on air. And I know we have a lot of talk about is stuff pre-recorded.
Yes.
I don't believe this was. They actually they joked about being on cocaine and staying up all night, but they're just being Foo Fighters funny.
Oh,
and
okay.
the whole thing didn't have any audio glitches. It didn't have any cutouts or any reverberations or any weird
Mhm.
sounds in it. So it actually sounded live and genuine
Mhm.
with 2.5 hours. So I don't know. I think I got 12, 13 clips on that.
Easily.
But there's some good stuff too. I mean, they don't take it easy on him. They kind of schooled him a bit in some
Yes.
areas. So I hope you guys enjoy that.
Okay, so this one's Saber Dance featuring the Foo Fighters. So I'll start the Saber music first. Hold on. This does take a little bit of manual dexterity.
It's been a while.
Well, let me thank the band for doing it. I was one of the people who was watching you Friday night, and I swear to you, every time it's the same reaction I see this band. I want to, not many bands make me anymore want to be in a band, but when you guys play, it is so tight. It is so remarkable. I don't understand it. And the big question is, and Dave, be honest about this and do it in a serious manner. Can a musician be made, or are you born a musician? You guys,
Okay.
I was listening to Foo Fighters
I gotta pause it, guys.
radio last night, and you guys were talking about on there how, like, when you first started out, you were music obsessed. I think Chris was saying this. You guys were like just obsessed with music and everything musical, and you you started playing the drums on pillows when you were a little kid. Is it that you were born with a talent and a wanting to understand the language of music?
Oh God, we're almost through.
Or is it something that through practice I could have been good enough to be in a band?
Okay.
I
there we
think
go.
Oh my. Don't you love 1 minute questions that go like totally off the tracks? The guys have got to be like, what was the question? Please? What are you talking about? But that's how he starts an interview.
I told
Fuck
you guys.
me.
This is your obligatory. This is your obligatory SCTV reference. But we mentioned Brian Linehan, the infamous Canadian film reviewer and interviewer, and he would always have these long probing questions that were exactly the same, except SCTV. Martin Short did a character called Brock Linehan, which was a takeoff on him, and the entire research department was incorrect. So he's like, he goes, Egypt, 1957. You're swinging with the Rat Pack, And Joey Bishop says to Linda Hopkins, please don't row Frank. He's still upset over the Mia thing. Like, it's all this long, detailed shit. And the interview's going like, sorry, you're mistaken. And I thought for a minute you clipped that. It sounded almost like you clipped just him and there was some interjection, but that was a full minute of just him.
It was a 1 minute question that he led off with about musical talent, which is like a spot on our bingo board that says, just, oh my gosh, are you in love with your co-writer, or did you have talent as a kid? Did you play every day in your bed? Just so many questions. And is talent, like, Wiggy wants to know where talent grows. Like, does it grow on a tree? Does it come from
you swallow it?
Playing. Next.
the next clip is angling to be Foo Fighters inductor into the Hall of Fame, basically. And this is when I heard the original clip, then I go, yeah, absolutely. He is licking their fucking balls, waiting to get back into, have a second shot at that infamous, that elusive, good Rock and Roll Hall of Fame speech. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he knows he can do this on Zoom now, so he doesn't have to leave his house, and he gets the praise.
Yeah.
But they turn it. They name 2 other people that would be good, and they're members of the band, like Taylor and Pat. Also named his mom and Stuart Copeland as other inductors, which I loved. Great.
Yeah. Who do you want to induct? I would imagine that if you guys don't get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the first time around, it would be comical to me. The band is so good and so tight, and you have so many hit songs. If you're going to say someone should be in the first time, I would think it would be Foo Fighters. And who would you want to induct?
Should I put the Saber Dance music back on for this one?
Not you. Who is it that you idolize so much, beside myself? Who is it you idolize so much that you would want them to induct you?
You just threw your fucking name in the hat right then.
No, I didn't. And by the way,
you did.
Please.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Do it.
Yes, you did, Wig. And everybody can see you've got pick me on your eyelids, closing them, like winking them out. Pick me, pick me. You got your shoes on the desk. Pick me on each shoe. Yeah, go ahead.
I just love that Dave is so on the ball with this. Like,
he
nails him in so many ways, like where he's like, you just threw your hat in the ring, mister. And he's just calling him out on exactly what he did, what we all heard. And it plays into the MPD. So then that's what you get.
Yep.
There you go.
Say no.
No.
Come on, Howard.
Dave,
I'm making it
listen to me.
That was totally
I had to
on
induct.
purpose.
Not on purpose. I inducted John, the Bon Jovi band, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I said to John, I'm going to kill myself. What are you doing to me? I don't want to leave my house. Leave me be. Leave me.
Fuck off. He treated that like it was the Gettysburg Address. I mean, that thing was. It was legendarily in its awfulness, legendary.
Yes.
But anyway, marbles all day long.
Constantly, this is the business side of it. You constantly calculate in your head, oh my God. I would imagine Foo Fighters is one of the major touring acts. I mean, financially. I don't know what you bring in a year. But do you constantly do the math and go, oh, fuck. I lost $45 million this year or something crazy like that. I mean, is it killing you financially?
I love these probing marbles questions that are designed to be like he's trying to be subtle as an elephant's dick. You're like, are you guys hurting for money because of the COVID and, is touring like taking a big hit out of your income? Are you still like, are you going to, are you getting bulk food now that you're not touring? Are you living off craft dinner?
More. What is Foo Fighters making a good year? Yeah. Taylor, give me their facts. Well, how much is it?
Well, Nate,
like how he was angling around it, and they finally go, how much do we make? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
And this is the Marbo's answer, which is what that was your title.
Howard, seriously, dude, we're so blessed. We've been doing this so long that, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really think about that. And I'm not trying to sound like, we're so lucky that we get to chill and be, dads at home and all that kind of stuff and not worried, because there's so many people out there who are, really freaking out right now. So,
no, absolutely. But
talk about a compassionate answer.
Yeah.
Talk about way to be professional and classy. There's so many people that have lost businesses. Kids are home online. Parents are going nuts.
Yeah.
they're depending on stimulus checks, some of these people. And now crime is off the charts.
Off the charts.
So for him to worry about millionaires becoming bigger millionaires is such, it's so inflammatory to me that I can't even, it gets me so angry. And then to hear Taylor Hawkins, the drummer, give an answer like that, just kind of like, all right, at least somebody's got a good head on the show, and they're not going to, float away like a balloon. It's really hard in the real world. But these interviews we get are all millionaires having multiple homes, multiple businesses, the ability to travel in private jets, and they're so unrelatable. But these guys somehow, they manage to give off a really good vibe, a really good interview. Dave gives good stories about his daughter, and you just kind of love them. Even if you don't like their music, you kind of should feel for these guys. Like they're trying to keep it real. And Wiggy has no clue what that is.
No, and I'm just right now, real quickly, guys, going through, because I am not a massive Foo Fighters fan. I like a lot of their songs for sure, but I wouldn't call myself a fan. But I'm looking through some of the albums, and starting with the first one's all written by Dave Grohl. Color and the Shape, he's got co-writes.
Great album.
There's nothing left to lose. If you go through it, it says, all tracks are written by Dave Grohl, Nate Mendel, and Taylor Hawkins. So they're sharing co-writing credit for the second album onward, except where noted, which is only like 3 or 4 songs by Dave. And if you keep going, the next one, one by one, Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, Nate Mendel, and Chris Shiflett. Okay. So there's a co-writing that you go further into the career. It's not strictly, Lennon McCartney throwaway George Harrison. So they were clearly, this was a team effort. It's the same way when Queen, sometime around, I think, Kind of Magic or right afterwards, somewhere around there, they decided we're going to share this publishing 25 times 4. Everybody's getting a quarter piece of it. It's not just going to be all songs written by Freddie or Brian May. It's going to be, we all want to make sure everybody's financially secure because we don't have much time left, because they knew he couldn't tour anymore due to his being HIV positive, and then the insurance companies wouldn't insure them for a tour. So they had to make money other ways. This is a band that doesn't clearly care about it's Dave's fucking ball, and we're all going to have to play with it. They clearly have a togetherness that other bands just don't have.
Yeah, and it shows over the years, just for them to keep the core group together and then add a few extra people into the band just to fill it out and be able to work on different pieces of songs or whatever it is, or just enjoy that brotherhood that they have. I've been a huge fan of them since they came on the scene 25 years ago. And I love their old stuff. I'm a fan of the older songs. But that doesn't mean their new stuff isn't good. It's just new stuff. And I'm one of those old heads, I guess. So I'm a fan, and I was a Nirvana fan. And now we're going to get into what Wiggy calls not Nirvana, Nirvana. So listen up.
And she spelled it that way on purpose. And here's the thing I wanted to mention about this. Pat Smear, of course, was a legendary frontman for the Germs, which would have been a band that Kurt Cobain and probably Dave and everybody in the Seattle scene, they would have adored the Germs, X, like even all the Washington D.C. punk scene. They all like Black Flag, but they also loved Sabbath, Kiss, Zeppelin. All the Seattle scene came out of a whole swath of different music. So for them to have Pat come to Nirvana near the end, so he was on MTV Unplugged and the live album that they released, which I think was posthumous, Live at the Banks of the Whiska or something. He was on as an extra member just to fill out their sound on stage a little bit, because a 3-piece can only do so much. And he was, it's for him to go into Foo Fighters and then take a hiatus and come back. That also indicates something, that it's not just we're throwing him a bone. It's like, dude, you could do what you got to do, and when you want to come back, your seat's going to be warm for you.
Yeah, I can't think of a better relationship to have with a band, that they have that respect that goes way, way back to early punk rock days in Seattle. Yep. And it grows up through Nirvana Nirvana. I can't even say it right
Nirvana.
now. Nirvana. And into the Foo Fighters. And, they all are dads or they've got other groups, other work they want to go off and do. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that he'd be in and out as needed. And that works great. Another reason to love the band. They seem like really cool guys.
When I read the way you wrote it, so you literally spelled it NEAR space VANA, and I thought for a minute like near what Vanna White. I don't get it.
Oh.
And then I started listening to it. Like, oh shit! Here we so Nirvana question.
Does feel right.
It does. It feels nice.
Pat, do you ever wake up and miss playing with Nirvana, or are those days so far behind you that and you're such a Foo Fighter now? As having been in both bands, do you wake up and sometimes say, gosh, what would it have been like if Nirvana had stayed together?
Every once in a while, me and Chris and Dave get together and we...
Oh, I got to stop it just for the 30-second break, guys. I know I don't usually announce that anymore, but this is why. I hate cutting clips when someone's in the middle of talking, but I try to get it as close to the 30 as possible. So let's continue. There's only a bit left.
Do play as if we're Nirvana, and it's
you do, really?
Yeah, so I don't have to miss it. We do it,
Dave. I didn't. I mean,
if we're in the same town together, or whatever, we'll get together and jam.
You mean where do you get together? In a rehearsal space?
A phone booth. Where the fuck do you think they get together, asshole? The back of a fucking meat truck.
Mom's basement.
Exactly.
And you say, let's go be Nirvana.
Well, last time we did it at the house where we recorded the album.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
We actually recorded some stuff.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of the name of one of my favorite albums of all time. It's Captain Beefheart. I think it's called I Do What I Want to Do, live from my dad's garage.
Nice.
Do you ever go back and listen to the Nirvana albums, either of you two guys? Do you?
Okay, so Nirvana, like he again, like what with the Robert Plant, he's stuck on past glories, and he's just an old fucking stick in the mud, and he wants to ask Nirvana questions because what's more of as big as the Foo Fighters arguably are bigger than Nirvana ever was, but they'll never be as influential. They just won't.
No, I also found it really sad that Wiggy missed a great opportunity here to ask them questions about their recording, about with Chris and Dave and Pat. That, like, okay, you've recorded as Nirvana. What are you going to do next? Like, are we ever going to hear that? What does it sound like? What was your inspiration? When, how many songs are you going to get together again? Would you ever think of doing a live session on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
So many questions, and he blew it. You blew it. It really bugged me as a fan of the two bands that we couldn't get that. But oh my gosh, he just barreled through with the next question on his mind because that's the type of interviewer he is nowadays. Always.
Yep. Next clip, guys, is called Radio Equals Loneliness.
You shy? Because I'm extremely shy. I can get on a microphone, but for me, being on the radio meant being alone in my room and talking into a microphone. I didn't have to deal with an audience. I just assumed that there was an audience there, but I didn't think about them that much. But
no, you didn't care. It's not I didn't think about them.
Some things never change.
Fuck, I love how he twists words in such a way that, listen, I'm it is ABC, but I'm telling you it's WXZ, and you're going to repeat it the same way I do. And like I think it was the story he talked about being in Hartford or Detroit and not going out. Like basically he went to do his job and went back to his hotel room where he was staying, in the midst of them moving, and him being a recluse. It's about being a fucking pussy. It's not, and hating people. It's not about, I'm shy. And, I mean, it's partly that, but it's mostly just being what's it called? Not agoraphobe. Introvert, but also, antisocial, completely antisocial behavior. Yeah. So when he puts it on, it's fake. It's him. It's always him acting like, the man about town. Go ahead.
No, it was WWWW in Detroit,
You got
And
it.
he used to talk about, excuse me, getting a bucket of spaghetti for dinner.
It's like medieval times.
I'm picturing like a KFC bucket full of just spaghetti.
Okay, Gary Puppet, you have your orders. Pasta coming out of a bucket. Wasn't that actually from the Jerk? This is the best pizza in a cup ever.
I can't remember.
Anyway, we'll get him a few seconds of this one.
But for you, are you shy off stage?
I am not shy.
Right.
Dave's shy. That's funny.
No, I'm not shy.
It's not a bad question because a lot of performers drink to get on stage, and it's certainly a lot of comics drink or do drugs because when we did the interview with Levy, he said a lot of the drinking was because I had just nerves before we get on stage. I still get nervous when I go on stage. I don't know why. I'm like, I know these fucking jokes work. Why am I kidding? If you don't laugh, it's your fucking problem.
I just like the questions that are all no answers. So I try to throw a few of those in.
Yeah, and you did a good one for the Tom Morello. I laughed fucking hysterically when I heard it. Okay, Tom Petty dodged a gay bullet is the next clip.
Then I came down and jammed, and I mean, honestly, you must have hung out with him or met him before.
Never.
He was really.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to interview him, and we were going to do it kind of like this over a camera. And at the time, I was like, no, I'm going to wait for Tom Petty to come in the studio. And I waited too long because then I never got to interview him.
This is the stupidity. Jay Thomas for years was telling you you're an idiot. I do my show out of New Orleans. I do it out of, whatever different. He had a couple residences across the country, and he didn't need to be in studio with somebody to fucking do a great interview with him. Jay was the real king. Yeah.
I was just going to say, what a fucking asshole. You could have had Tom Petty doing an interview, and he was so all about I want him in my studio face to face. He wants the video of it.
Yes.
He couldn't change his patterns even back then to get an icon, a great artist who would have been a fantastic interview because he's had the Traveling Wilburys. He's had so many people he's worked with over the years and has been around as a solo artist, as a group artist with the Heartbreakers. It just blows my mind that this guy is so MPD stubborn that he couldn't do an interview over a computer back then, but now he can. And I do think there was a party at Leon Black's where Tom Petty performed, and Wiggy was invited on a private jet with a bunch of other rich motherfuckers.
Yep.
And I think Artie went to that too.
Yeah, that was the Hamptons one.
He still doesn't mention even getting to talk to him at that private party. Tom just blew him off for that.
Yep. Yeah.
Another Tom interview that we could have had.
Totally.
Sadly,
and and actually what it occurs to me, he used to have a shitload of phoners back in the day. I would hazard to say that 25% of his interviews took place over the phone back at a certain point in time when he couldn't get them in. Like if they were in LA and he was in New York, so what the fuck? The person would get on the air at 9 o'clock and they'd say, "Oh, Stallone's calling in," or James Caan is calling in, and that went by the wayside. That was there was a definitive conversation had where he said no more phoners. And do you think that was a Marcy thing or him? I'd say it was him.
That's hard to say. That time frame's a little foggy for me.
Yeah.
Only because of my work situation at the time. I don't know. Definitely Marcy would have put a kibosh on that. But I do think he probably was like, no, we got to have them in studio. Get them in here now.
And get the video.
Get the video because they had the YouTube segments that they'd post of bands performing. It was no longer E-show, but it was still serious and they had YouTube.
Right. And we were still not getting Howard 360 just yet, but we did eventually when it was more like Howard 3. There's a 3-degree angle of what you can see between monitors and and microphones this size of Nebraska. Let's keep going.
Some fucking move.
He was very cool and very low key, down to earth, just really, really cool. And
okay, so the next clip is called Pat, Fourth Wheel in Nirvana. I misspelled.
Were you shocked when, Nirvana to me was always a threesome. And then when Pat got, when Kurt said, let's bring Pat into Nirvana, were you shocked? Were you like, no, it's the three of us? Was it weird for you to become a foursome?
No. Well, Nirvana at one point.
No.
How's this different? There's not much different than if you had a brother, would you be jealous of him? How dare you share in? Because who was it? Was it Bob Sisifo or someone else that recently posted about? Oh no, it might have been Danny Stallion. The clip about Richard getting a record contract and Wiggy wanting to control the royalties or the direction in which income through Richard flowed. He wanted responsibility for some of it. Go ahead.
That was Daniel Stellan.
Yeah.
He's another great guy that lives over in the UK.
Yep.
Who posts a lot for us. He is a big fan of Richard and basically reiterated what we had said the last time we recorded about Richard. Please just leave the Stern Show. Go do your drumming career. You deserve it, because Wiggy is only taking credit for you getting all your work. So if you leave Wiggy and you continue to get work, sure, he's still going to keep taking credit, but he won't mention you because you're a goner. Yeah. And at least you'll have the freedom to go travel and do what you really love, your real passion, which is drumming. Right. It's so obvious.
Mm-hmm. And in actual fact, the worst thing that could happen to Wig is Richard gets more prolific, more popular, and makes way more money. And that's the biggest burn in his fucking arse, besides Ralph's member, that someone becomes more popular. Like Stuttering John, eventually we're going to do the Stuttering John departure, as a rescinding, as a so long farewell episode. And that's going to be an epic because it's so vast, the amount of, I didn't want to, I didn't want to talk to you. Oh God, dude, you just had to come to me. You never came to me. And he's like, I don't want to talk to you, leading up to it. And he ends up getting a gig that pays him 5 times more what he's making. So
7 times.
Wasn't it making 8? Oh, maybe. Okay. So
he was making 75 at Howard.
I thought it was 80, and then he made like 500,000 a year the first year.
I think it was, yeah.
So
anyway, it was either 250,000 or 500,000. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you're right. 5, 6, 7
Roughly.
times. At that point, it's still ridiculous and good for him to leave and make that money.
Right. His business, what is it called? His professional life went to annoying. Now the next one is called Wiggy's musicianship. Oh, sorry. And I'm going to get like him. Wiggy's musicianship regrets.
Yeah, but I don't understand myself. I was the same way. I mean, I was obsessive with music, but I fucking never sat down and really learned how to play. And that's my biggest regret. I took some piano lessons. I had guitars, but I never really. And I
should have played drums.
Had guitars. He's got the bebop shop in his basement next to the bowling alley. Go ahead.
Okay, so his biggest regret isn't his failure of a marriage to Allison. It's not saving Bianca in the pool. Yeah. It's not his 3 children who he has 0 relationship with growing up.
Correct.
And basically just hid in a basement playing 9 Inch Nails with Ralph, wearing Gerardo handkerchiefs.
Or being a proud grandparent.
Or being a proud grandparent. His biggest regret is not learning how to play the guitar. But he's got like 5 of them hung up in his bowling alley.
Yeah. 5? Jesus Christ. I wish I could have seen that video tour. the Eddie Murphy guitar. Sorry, not Eddie Murphy. Edward Van Halen guitar, the fucking Leslie West guitar with like mounds of dust on him.
Well, it's really easy.
No, it's not. And I think that I wasted so much fucking time. You know what I mean? I should have sat there.
What were you doing?
I was jerking off. That's what I was doing.
You know what? It's too late for you to become Eddie Van Halen. Like, that's your fucking, there's just no fucking way that's going to happen.
Right.
Like, play along with an AC/DC record. Play along with a Ramones record. Like,
no, because I won't be good enough. I got to be good enough to join your band.
He is an idiot. And in fact, that is exactly how some of the best guitarists in the world, and I would say best, I mean, most legendary, like Steve Jones learned along with like the Stooges' first 2 albums or 3 albums and the New York Dolls' first album. He just kept playing them until he could replicate them and then figured out his own style. I love Steve Jones. Jonesy's Jukebox, everybody. Listen to it. Tune into it. Do you want to hear a Robert Plant interview? Listen to Jonesy's Jukebox. Take care of it. Anyway, The next one, Wig jealous of star fucking with Macca, who we all know is Sir Paul.
Get to hang at Paul McCartney's house, like at his house.
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
Did that blow your mind? I mean, to me, that has to be the ultimate experience. Paul McCartney, look, how did he write all of those songs? When you're around him, do you say to him, Paul, look, I'm a songwriter. Tell me your process. Tell me, I would imagine you had a million questions for this guy.
I can't imagine a more awkward conversation.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, Dave, give it to him.
Like the times you ever get to meet your heroes, your idols, the worst thing you can do is fan them. The worst thing you can do is like tell them, man, you wrote Ticket to Ride. You fucking you wrote Sweet Home Alabama. Can I touch you? Can I you just can't do it. And in the past, I've interviewed some people in the business, and you just got to talk to them like human beings. That's what they're looking for, most of them, unless they're, I don't know, Mick Jagger, who's looking to get his dick sucked.
Well, do you remember when Wiggy went to the concert and Paul McCartney snubbed him on an autograph for his daughter?
Love that.
Love that.
I love that. I think I put that on my channel. I got to find it. And then Chris Rock was there and said, "Ooh, you got blown off."
He totally rubbed it in.
Yeah.
But there's so many things like Wiggy's gotten wrong about McCartney, and McCartney is he's in his age range. He is somebody we know he grew up with, and yes, he is an icon. We give him all that.
Sure.
But fucking read the room and act like you've been there before. My God.
Absolutely.
And even Dave, who is, 17 years younger than him, or whatever the age difference is, 10, 15, he knows better. He knows how to socially interact with the guy and just play it cool. Yeah. You don't have to ask, how did you write Imagine, or not Imagine. Sorry, wrong.
Whatever.
Hate You. That was the example he
used. Sure. And the other thing is, he's interviewed McCartney like gotta be going on 5 times now since 2001.
I know of 3.
Okay. I can't remember exactly how many, but either way, and he's seen him live a bunch of times. And one of my favorite bits is at the concert for New York, when the video's now gone from YouTube, but I think I have it somewhere, where Wiggy gets up with his fucking pants ass cut out, another Ralph job as he was finished rimming him, and mooned the crowd at the concert for New York, and then bitched and complained, talked shit about Drew Barrymore, which is what we're going to do. See if I can find the audio. Talk shit about her because she basically wouldn't go to New York. She was scheduled to do like Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon or whatever it was at the time, or Jay Leno, or I think it was the Tonight Show, and with Jay Leno at the time. And he gave her shit like, this is New York's where you need to support, Meanwhile, he was asking Tom if he could leave the show that day.
Yeah.
He's acting like Mr. Hero. And anyway, so he was, and then Paul McCartney said, "Oh, that's unnecessary, Howard. That's so unnecessary." And he was giving Howard shit, deservedly so. Like, don't shit on people that aren't there. You don't know what their situation is. Fuck off. And meanwhile, you were a fucking coward. So I wish somebody would have played that audio right at the concert for New York, right behind him.
So no, I would never say that. Honestly,
why?
Paul, what's your song?
Why? Because it's like, first of all, you have to understand, so Paul, he walks through life being Paul McCartney. Everybody, I think that he, one of the first things that he'll do is sort of kind of diffuse that awkward tension. He knows how you feel, and he's considerate of that. And it's like, yeah, man, and everything's cool, and it's mellow, and you wind up just sort of hanging out, eating pizza, and drinking wine, and just not talking about how the fuck did you write Let It Be? It's you don't really go there. So, but I mean, obviously.
But when you were there, what was the occasion?
The other thing is, Dave knows this. He's a legend himself now at this point. He's not ever going to be a Beatle, obviously, but he's secure enough in his own success that he can just go in, and he's a down-to-earth kind of guy. I've heard from a lot of people that have met Dave that he is as chill a guy as you could imagine for someone who's sold so many records and who's done so much. His documentary on the studios, like Sound City and stuff, was great.
Sound City.
And he loves music. That guy loves music. He's a true music geek, just with way more money and way more success than the average person will have.
there's a great bit on YouTube where he does like a drum battle with this girl in England who's like 10 years old, and she is a music prodigy. She does more than drums, but that was Dave's thing and that's her thing. So he is really, really sweet with this girl, super just encouraging, and a really down to earth guy when you get him like in a situation like that. Like, you just don't see cracks in his ego. You don't see, like with Wiggy, there's so much outrageous stuff that we point out all the time, but I'd be damned if I could find stuff like that on Dave Grohl. I just don't see it. He's such an endearing musician and human with 2 daughters and a wife that he's had for a while. So yay for him. Good job. And keeping your band together all this time. Look at what he's been through. I mean, he was thrust into the music world like overnight with Nirvana. And then he managed to make an album on his own, playing everything, and develop it into the Foo Fighters. So
it takes
what talent.
It takes some degree of talent to get that done. You don't just get that by being in a legendary band, because look at any other person that dropped out of a famous band. Look at what's Bill Wyman doing? What's, what happened to Mick Taylor? Nothing really. So it doesn't always happen again. So for someone to be, it's almost like Michael Landon in the film, in the TV industry. He went from Bonanza, that got canceled. He went into a bigger hit with Little House on the Prairie. And then into another decade with Highway to Heaven, a show I love.
Right.
And was like, it just doesn't happen that way. Many people don't get that success again. The next clip is called "Did You Ever Hang with Jagger?"
Was that like remember, Dave, when you were on Saturday Night Live, Jagger was the host. Did you get to hang with him at all?
Yeah.
Was he a good guy?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was cool. It's fucking
Like,
Mick
what do you
Jagger,
mean?
dude. Yeah, it was cool.
I know.
He was funny.
He was really funny. And the funny thing was, like, okay, so he was going to host. It was the season finale.
Now, before we get into this, I think it's just recently that we started getting the Jagger bitchiness. Like, well, he was too good to do our show. Didn't we?
Yeah, it's been kind of bubbling up in the show. Different bits about Mick Jagger.
Yep.
And we've played it on previous breakdowns, but you're going to hear more in the future. I always clip any bits about Mick, only because I know he's wooing him to come on the show. And Mick is pretty much a big holdout on the show. And I've said this before, that I think he knows it might diminish his brand.
Oh, yeah.
And the morning hours don't work. But if they're pre-recording, like I think they did with Tom Morello, then it's very possible that that's not even an issue anymore, because they know they can get more guests if they pre-record in the evening, play it the next day, and just tell them, don't mention time frames or anything in the news or anything like that that's dateable.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mick is his white whale. He is his Moby Dick right now. He is doing cartwheels. He must have 1,000 fake Twitter accounts on his own, just trying to get Mick onto the show. So I'm really hoping that Mick say no. Just say no. Don't give him that.
I'm the opposite, because I want to hear that train wreck. I want to hear that awful interview. Like a glutton for punishment. And because Jagger's not a particularly good interview, first of all. And second of all, he doesn't need to do Wig's show. He wants money. He wants to be paid. Keith Richards is the same. There's no need for him to do any fucking press ever, because their new records don't sell and their tours always sell out, like in advance.
Right.
You announce a Stones gig and you price it at $500 a ticket, it will fucking sell out, even in COVID. Like, that's how powerful they are as a concert draw. Their latest albums probably won't even go gold, but who gives a shit? They want to hear Jumpin' Jack Flash. They want to hear Honky Tonk Women. Yep.
Even the most softball interview that Wiggy could do with him might not be enough to bring him around, because
no way.
Honestly, he's how old is Mick? I don't even know. 78?
Yeah, well, definitely over 75.
He's a little older than Wiggy, but he has so many great stories. And yeah, Wiggy would butcher that interview. Yeah, he'd ask embarrassing questions about him and Keith. But
David Bowie.
In the same sense, yeah, David Bowie. There's so much great stuff to dig into there that he'll just miss, and it'll just feel pain in my gut when I hear him not ask those questions that we all want to know about different women that he's been with, and all his children, and being a grandpa, and all these crazy things.
Mick,
he might even be
like?
a great grandpa.
Right. What was it like filming Free Jack? Let's see.
He was going to host the show, but Stones weren't doing anything, and so I actually got the call from Lauren, and he's like, Mick Jagger is going to host the show, but at the Stones, we were wondering if you could be the backing band. I was like, oh, fucking absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, when is it? He's like, May 18th.
And a little bit of trivia, guys. If anybody wants to hear something also really excellent, Dave Grohl was the drummer for the Backbeat band for the movie, and Greg Dully, I think, Thurston Moore were in it. It was like a super group back in the day where they did all early Beatles Cavern Club music, and the music in the film is fantastic, and you can totally hear they nail it. There's an MTV awards show where they perform. It's live. It's fan-fucking-tastic. They do Money. I think they do Long Tall Sally, like a medley of old early Beatles covers and stuff that they used to play, and it's fantastic. Just check that out if you get a chance. Next one, Dropping Articles, Volume 1. It's only a 5-second clip.
What, did you watch Super Bowl at all? Is that your thing? Do you watch football?
Kill me now.
We've said this before. It's like when he says, I like lamp. I like speaker.
Oh. It's fucking the Super Bowl, asshole.
Yeah.
Get it right. My God,
Right.
it's so embarrassing.
Exactly.
I'm going to start pulling one of these every breakdown of Dropping Articles, and that's
Please
it.
do.
Just
I just
one
gotta
show.
I just got to keep track of them. Dave is next doing this. Dave running the show.
Before, I'm not running your show for you, but I do want it. I want to get to the song that we picked especially for you at some point.
Yes.
Before we
run
out of time, I want to make sure.
Let's do it now. No, I don't want to run. I want to do all 3 songs. Now, do you want to say something about this song?
I do.
You know that he doesn't actually want to hear any fucking songs. He does, because they're not, first of all, if they're not covers, he doesn't care. And he just wants to pick his brain about celeb fucking and see if he can get some of that Mick Jagger action. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he does get about 3 minutes of, which is what, $9,000 in his wallet.
We don't
he doesn't
know how
have
much
to do
anymore.
anything.
Yeah.
Well, true.
Maybe a lot
that
less.
was back in the day, maybe with the old contracts.
Yeah.
And also he's getting his dick sucked because they're doing Mississippi Queen by Leslie West. So it was a nice tribute they did. They did a very good version of it. Even though I'm not a fan of Leslie, I'm not a fan of the song, I enjoyed what they did. And it's so great when you're listening live to not have to listen to Wiggy and just get to listen to the Foo Fighters. What a treat.
It's like
and
a
Kayla,
respite.
I know Kayla was loving this day because she's a huge Dave fan, and I totally appreciate that.
Okay.
I am too.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Kayla. And here we go with what they said after.
Dick measuring via riffs.
Guys, doesn't that make you feel like you got the biggest dick in the world when you're playing that riff? It's just a power riff, right? I mean,
actually, do you know, I know what he's talking about, but to me, it's not necessarily a riff. It might even be a shriek. Like, and if you guys want to hear what I'm talking about, look out on YouTube and find Slade Alive, and they do a cover of the Love and Spoonfuls' Darling Be Home Soon. It's one of the best covers I've ever heard in my life. And when you hear this song and you hear Noddy Holder fucking go off, you see every fucking Oasis album ever released, because they totally ripped off their sound and the Beatles. And when you hear him go from the quiet part to the fucking loud part, you just think he just every single woman in the fucking concert hall wanted to fuck him right then and there. That's the kind of sound his voice gave. And yeah, just check it out. Slade Live, Darling Be Home Soon. And anyway, that's my take on it. I love it's just a great version, and it's a great song. The original's good too. Is All My Life About Cunnilingus? Is this a new Foo Fighters song?
It's not a new song. It's a classic old song from them.
Oh, I have no clue. Yeah.
This was kind of like a fun reveal, but of course Wiggy ruins it with his comments. So there you go.
Okay. Is that song about giving a woman oral sex? It's about going down on a woman.
Kinda.
Yeah, it is. Isn't that beautiful? You know, I've gone down on a few women, believe it or not, as repulsive as I am.
No, as repulsed as you are. let's get that.
Yeah. And I still don't believe that. Maybe he tried it once or twice, but no. Not
Yeah.
like on beef or anything.
Maybe if there were 5 dicks like around to keep him excited. I don't know. Like he wouldn't have minded, like, I don't know. I think maybe as a goof he did. I don't believe he ever did. Eating pussy.
A challenge?
Yeah, exactly. Like, try it. Just try it. Like sushi. This is the next clip. Eating pussy is too dangerous for Wiggy.
Dave, are you still as passionate about oral sex as you were back then when you wrote that song? I mean, I find it too dangerous now. I don't want to get these HPVs and all this kind of shit. So those days are over.
What did you say? HDTV? What did he say? I don't want. Do I have to repeat that? He doesn't want to get
HPV from beef. HPV.
Oh, okay. The herpes.
Herpes.
Yeah.
The herpes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that presupposes that she has them. I mean, if he's monogamous and if he's straight,
it makes zero sense, honestly. Like, haven't you done this before and now you're stopping? It makes zero sense. Again, you can't keep up with his own lies.
No, you can't. And the next clip is called Dave Fucks with... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
#beard life.
Yes, #beard life. And that was just amazing how that's coming up now. Dave Fucks with Wiggy.
What I was going to say was, you have such a big part. You have a lot to do with why we're still here. Remember that time we came on your show and I played Everlong, the acoustic version?
God.
Yes.
That's not something I had ever done. And
I know.
we sat down and did that for you, that gave us another 20 years of being in the band. Honestly.
Is this just him lathering his ass, Raven?
It's a kissing of the ring, because if they want to keep like having stations on Sirius, they have to lather, they have to blow smoke up his butt, and it's just okay. Yeah, they did do it on a show. Yeah, it was a good version. So I kind of am torn on this one a little bit, only because I like that song. I like the acoustic version. But it just gets ruined sometimes because I think about Wiggy taking credit for it all the time.
Absolutely.
And even what a dead clock is wrong twice a day. So like, where a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, like it comes down to a stupid metaphor like that. Like even Wiggy can come up with like one good suggestion in 44 years. So they're gonna roll with that. But it turns on them. So just keep listening.
I believe it's a broken clock is right twice a day. Correct twice a day. But that's okay. A broken wig is never right. But you're right. But the thing is, if they performed it acoustically on a show, they performed the acoustic version. It's their sort of talent. Just because that's the venue. Does Dick Clark get the credit for someone's version of something if it's already been released as a single or whatever? Of course not. Like a live version of something. The only live version of any song I've ever liked on the Stern Show was there's two. There's the Fame version of the live version of Fame by David Bowie when he had that touring band around the early 2000s when he came in for the birthday show. It was a fantastic band. And then the Lenny Kravitz doing Let Love Rule. That's a fantastic fucking live version that he's done a couple times, because the original version is kind of tame comparatively. But the live version, he breaks out the fucking the guitar and he makes it way louder and really great. So let's continue.
Stop it.
I swear, am I wrong? Tell her.
It's that you and David Letterman have made us a big band in America.
Yes, you've been two of our biggest supporters for the last 25 years.
It's true.
So we have everything.
Letterman loves the Foos. Remember his last show? You guys played, and you guys, I couldn't believe you come out in tuxedos. I was shocked.
Is it that shocking? Didn't Nirvana do that one video where they mocked? It was Come As You Are, I think. No, it wasn't Come As You Are. The one where they came out as if they were on the Ed Sullivan show.
Smells like Teen Spirit?
No.
Oh yeah.
It'll be maybe on a plane, not on a plane. Anyway, it'll come back to me. Off the first album. And they mocked like they were on Ed Sullivan's show, and they were all dressed up like little mods or whatever, like little early British rock, and it was cute. It was kind of funny. But I never realized that is true. There's a Letterman connection to Foo Fighters. He was a big supporter of them and of live acts in general. He always had great live alternative bands on back in the day. Yep.
There's a great connection too here with Letterman. He loved Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder, who was also on Big Show, but didn't get the beat down like he does from the Foo Fighters coming up about Letterman.
Right. So the next clip is called Jealous of Letterman.
Boys for that. I think what the boys are trying to tell me is that they consider me the seventh Foo Fighter. Is that right, Dave?
You're a Foo.
Am I a
would
Foo?
say yes.
Am I a Foo?
You are honorary Foo. I mean, could you imagine if it was like all of us and then you and Letterman in the background, like
Dave, how dare you mention Letterman in the same breath as Wig? You know that you're actually insulting him by putting Letterman in with him. Like do you think he knows he's trying to fuck with him? That's hence the.
Yeah, of course. That's why I love Dave. Dave's awesome. He's kicking him in the balls.
and playing percussion and playing lead guitar. No, did I say background? No, I meant like right next to me, soloing, ripping solos to an arena full of adoring fans.
Now, this next clip is called Boat Question, and you guys I think you can suss out the meaning without explaining it, and it's a little long, but we'll go through it. And I guess it's like Sophie's Choice, more or less. But here we go with it.
Letterman is a huge supporter of yours. I'm a supporter of yours. But if it came down to it, we were in a boat, and the boat was sinking, and the Foos had to save me or Letterman. And I want a serious answer, and I want the truth. Would you save Letterman, or would you save Howard Stern? And that's the final question.
If you had fallen off the boat?
In other words, the only way the boat can stay afloat.
I'm just trying to decide, do we have to eat some?
I used to have a question like this, only like Howard's it's like a parking lot. It's, I don't know, 45 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, guys. Get out your calculators. And there's a puppy in another car, and they're both locked in, and they're going to die. It's beating, like the sun is beating down on them. You got to save one. I think almost everybody I asked picked the puppy.
Yes. This is a classic question that Wiggy asks all these people, whether it's his staff or Robin. Like, say you have so-and-so and so-and-so on a boat, and you can only save one because the boat's taken on water. Who do you throw off? And in this case, he's looking for some kissing of his ass, but...
Yeah. Dave's not going to get it.
I had to do this.
Yeah.
Are we talking, is this like a cannibalism trip?
No, you don't have to eat anyone. It's just we have to throw someone off the boat in order to the rest of... Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. First of all, as the leader of the band, I'm going to designate Rami Jaffe the one person to answer this question. Rami, what do you think?
He can't even talk about the wallflowers.
I was going to say, you throw me over the boat. Because, I mean, you got Stern and Letterman. Fucking, come on.
I say,
I'll start swimming.
Boys, one lives, one dies.
They're so sketchy in this. They know the answer, but they don't want to give it. And they just keep derailing with all kinds of like, well, are we cannibals? I'm not going to answer. I'm going to give it to Rami. I'm going to let him decide. Like, they don't want to piss off Letterman. They don't want to piss off Wiggy. So they're being diplomatic in this, but it just goes downhill. Keep listening.
Somebody like Roger Daltrey would have just fucked with Howard and said, well, you, of course. Like, right. There wouldn't even be it wouldn't even have been a question just to fuck with them.
Guys, who is it? Dave, Taylor wants to answer the question. Go ahead,
I want
Taylor.
to answer. You and David Letterman have to fight to the death.
Bullshit.
Oh.
That's a cop-out.
That way we don't have to choose.
That's not the answer he wants. I don't know.
Dave, that's not...
There's no time.
I agree. These are all terrible answers.
Dave, fire Taylor. Make a decision right now.
Listen, it's like we're talking chicken or the egg right now. What came first, chicken
understood,
or the egg?
but you got to choose one. You got to, or else all the foods will...
I don't know chronologically, but I hazard to say that they were on Dave way before they were on fucking Howard.
I would agree. Also, I think it's pretty clear cut here. Like, they're just avoiding the answer. It's just bullshit. It's a dumb question.
It is.
It's a waste of my time, honestly, but only because there was a good answer in the end. Once Robin prompts Taylor, I think he gives a really good answer.
Yeah.
mystery of the universe. What happened before the Big Bang? This is the mystery of the universe. These are questions you can't answer, and this is why you live a life based on faith and love. There are some questions you can't answer because there's some things you just don't know. As you get older, you have to realize you don't.
Shut up, Dave. You know the fucking answer. And wigs don't float.
You just don't know. So you just sort of submit yourself to the universe and let it take you where it's going to take you.
If Letterman was asking the question, what would the answer be?
I'd be like, Stern's the first to go. No fucking question.
Hey, you know it's obvious. It's obvious.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's all we wanted to hear.
So the next clip is very short. I think it continues it. Wiggy gets butt hurt.
Yep.
It's obvious I am the one to go because they're not answering. They're trying to be diplomatic. All right, listen, Foos. Aside from that one question, you had a perfect morning. Music sounds great. The new album sounds great. And the next time, just say Howard Stern lives, and that's the end. And meanwhile, it's too late. You know what? You took so fucking long with that answer that both of us died. Letterman died and I died. It's awesome. All right. We all know why we're here. We're here to celebrate this great band, the Foo Fighters.
But you know he's going to be like crying about it for days and days because they didn't immediately say Letterman gets thrown out, right?
Yeah, even on his own show, they won't like kowtow to him. So
yeah,
yay, Foo Fighters, good job.
So that's the end of that, and we hope it was enough Foo for you, Kayla, and anybody else who's a fan of them. The last clip for the 10th is called "Robin Critiques JD's Weight," which is that's a chutzpah with a capital C, and yeah, go ahead.
It's just a throwaway clip, but it does kind of play into the whole Robin having weight issues. So I thought maybe this would help in our documentation of, I could care less about JD, but I do have some concern for Robin and her mental state and how it plays with Wiggy talking about 1,000-pound sisters or 600-pound life or Hein or Kaplan or JD being overweight and even Bowie now too.
Bowie, yeah. Okay, well I'm gonna ask you more about that when we finish playing the clip.
Does a 40-year-old man not know how tall he is? I mean, I said, JD, how tall are you? I think I'm, I don't know how tall I am.
Not sure.
How are you? Guy goes, how does a 40-year-old not know how tall he is? Who does this guy think he is, Benji? Either way, 5'8" or 5'9", 215 pounds is unacceptable. Get out and fucking walk around, you lard ass. Such a compassionate audience.
Okay, so I guess I'm presuming that's an email he read, a supposed email. Yeah, okay. Which, maybe not. I don't know who fucking sends them anything. And now we know from years and months now, that Twitter does not allow just anybody to tweet on the Stern Show tweets. So we're going to continue. There's only 18 seconds left.
Howard, I'm 6'4". I'm pretty fit. I'm 188 pounds. JD is obese and a load. Get off the couch, fat ass, and work out. Finally, JD assumes marriage is forever. That's not the case when you're fat and slow. Your wife is hot. You better get exercising, douchebag.
Hot. That's
what it's there.
If you've seen the tank, she looks like Ronda Rousey with a shittier tattoo, like she fell into an a vat of ink and just missed some of it. Now the thing is, JD's always had the complexion and the physique of a fucking potato wedge. So I don't know what he's getting on him about it now, but this is, what was your take on Robin these days because of the amount of, fat that she's having to cart around and, having to deal with Wiggy's take on it all?
Based on that clip, she was totally dead silent. She didn't say one word, not one giggle, not one cackle.
Nothing.
So for me, because it was the end of the show after the Foo Fighters and all that, she is either checked out, went to the bathroom, or just biting her lip and passively aggressively attacking Wig by not commenting and not giving him the laughter that he wants. Because all along she's done that, and we miss Benji in that fat quadro of staffers. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
It's just I wonder what she really thinks, because does she not go home, but does she get off air and start eating out of anger? Is it because of her meds that she can't do anything? Is it because she's too fragile? She can't exercise? I really wonder, like, what is her real issue with the weight? Is it just something that comforts her, that gets her to sleep? There's so many options there, and we'll never know.
No.
But, I guess as a woman, I have a little bit of anger towards Wiggy because he's always criticized people and their weight. And then to have his co-host have such a problem with it, obviously it's visual that she has a problem, but never really voices that to him. And it just seems so hypocritical for her to, like, I hate when she rags on other people for their weight.
It's the
because
worst.
she's in no position for that.
Zero.
So that's why I clipped this. I'm just documenting the downfall of the show, and sometimes she laughs, sometimes she doesn't. But even earlier, we heard in this episode, she shot back about, oh, is it that awful channel that you watch with the 1,000-pound sisters and all the weight problems that they have? So, yeah, let's just see what we get in the future. It's hard to tell.
Well, he's her meal ticket, so she knows enough she can only go so far before she pisses him off. On the other hand, she knows about his proclivities and could easily have a book somewhere like, if something happens to me, this book comes out and you're going to be around and you're not going to enjoy it. No injunction's going to stop this fucking book from getting out. Even if she used a pseudonym and wrote about a guy she works for called Moward Byrne or something like that. Like, who the fuck's not going to know exactly what she's talking about? So there's that, and there's also in the book, like in the Quivers of Life book, she documents, although we think a lot of it is bullshit, embellishment. When she talks about food, she really has no reason to lie so much about how much she enjoyed it, because it's just food. No one's getting offended. There's no names need to be changed. It was comfort food. So her whole thing, her entire life, as far as we've known, is comfort eating, and it's always at a place when she's really at her worst. So like at the end of the 15 Foundation, which, guys, we are going to continue with that, by the way, she starts ballooning back up to pre-jogging, pre-green drink levels, and worse. It's like Atkins. When people started getting on the Atkins diet when that was hot, they didn't realize you go back on the carbs, you will fucking put that weight on unless you've changed your lifestyle or portion control or whatever and maintain that. You're going to put on all those carbs back again, and you'll be like Robin. But she definitely stress eats, and she has her entire life. So I understand it. I don't have a whole lot of sympathy because I've been guilty of it myself growing up. So I know it's something I can control. She has to be able to control that a little. And she absolutely, you're right, has no cause to be fucking on people about their weight when she's been yo-yo dieting her entire fucking life and has the gall to release a vegetarian cookbook that she didn't do any of the recipes.
That she can't even cook out of. Yeah.
Right. Now we are actually going into the 15th of February, and there was a makeup day because he took I forget what day it was. Was it a Monday he took off?
No, it was Wednesday, March 11th of 2020. It was when they started broadcasting from home on Zoom with the pandemic last year. That's it. And he owed them a day, and so he was on a day when Raven, I think she was sure he was off. And then she goes, Mayday, Mayday, Photoshop, get it for the mockery thread. Like, he's actually in, and like, this was almost, battle stations. So, anyway, the first one is called Wig Cheated Serious. And it sounded like he was really, when I heard the clips, I was like, you little baby, they held you to your fucking contract. What a bunch of assholes. God forbid he have to do a full 112 shows. He tried to skate away. Yep. With that one show, thinking that working from home and trying to set up, he had nothing to set up because they had to ship him everything. And they didn't ship it overnight. They didn't get it to him the next day. All he did was sit at home on phone calls or texts talking about how they were going to handle things because they couldn't be in studio. But he draws it out and makes it sound like they had so much going on that day. Right. Which is such bullshit. Yes. So, yeah.
And those shows sounded like ass completely because he was using webcam mics and they had dropouts like crazy. You'd think they were using like an old 56K modem or whatever, and you heard the dial-up modems. And it was shit. It was really awful. And you can listen to that would have been like almost exactly our anniversary, like the March breakdown shows that we did, some of them with Benjamin. And even right around that time of April, and they sounded like awful. So anyway, here we go with that.
What happened was, we signed up for another 5 years to be with you guys for another 5 years. And in the middle of the negotiation, to bring the show back, to bring me back, I remember, there was some words, nothing hostile, but words going back and forth as negotiations will.
I believe you. Go ahead.
Okay, he's talking super slow. He's talking in stutters. He's repeating himself. These are all telltale signs of lies.
Yep, absolutely.
This is just total bullshit. Keep going. Keep going.
Yep. Well, and then suddenly somebody said, you didn't deliver all the shows last year that you were supposed to deliver.
Uh-oh.
And I went, what? I mean, I am the most honest guy. One thing you'll say about me. Talking. There was a show on such and such a date you didn't do. You're supposed to deliver 112 shows a year. You only delivered 111.
Okay, so this is the guy that for a year and a half promoted and talked about satellite before he went to satellite, but he's the most honest guy, and then got sued and should have. I don't know why they fucking dropped that lawsuit. They would have had him. Les Moonves should have fucking went after him. Yeah, go ahead. I should have stayed after him.
Okay, so this day happened last March, a year ago.
Yep.
He had 9 months to make it up. Bowie counts the days. Bowie schedules all these days for him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He tried to skate away and welch on the contract. And he had 9 months. So it wasn't like they couldn't just throw in a Thursday show or stay an extra day into Christmas or something like that. Nope. Right. They fucking tried to lie and get through it. And they got called out in the contract. And yay, Jennifer Witz. Good for you.
Yep. And he absolutely could have just done an extra half hour every day. But like made it like they could cut the last half hour and then made a show, like cut and pasted a show if he didn't want to come in an extra day. There's lots of ways around it, for fuck's sake. Or he could have done a show of 2 interviews and scheduled them. No, he's just, he tried to get away with it. Absolutely.
Oh.
And then they said, but it's okay.
They were going to let it ride.
Let it go.
We'll let it ride.
I was so shocked. I said, could you explain to me how I only performed 111 shows instead of the 112 that we're contracted for? And there was a lot of conversation back and forth. And then I got the answer from my agent who said, well, what seems.
So your agent did the fucking talking. You didn't. Once again, so this is all being relayed to him. Again, he can't be the one-on-one, which is not uncommon in show business. The agent usually deals with this shit, especially if he's fucked up. And that is a fuck up that's on Don as well. Or whoever his agent, like his daughter or whoever's responsible for him now to handle King Baby. But if he's really responsible, he knows he's missed a fucking show and he knows he has to make it up. No one who's that OCD misses a show and doesn't know they did.
Correct.
There's just no way.
It's just total laziness on his part. That's all it is.
Right. If it was an act of God, like, okay, a snowstorm came in and the power was out, whatever. Okay. I mean, who doesn't understand that? Even when you've got almost no work ethic and you've got so few shows a year to do. But it's funny when he admits that you were supposed to deliver 112 shows. It's almost like going to Bulk Barn and measuring how much cheese you need by the ounce. Like going to the deli and asking how much meat, and they do the meat slicer. This is how many shows we want from you.
On such a date, you called off the show. I said I did. So I went back. I looked through, I talked to people.
Yo,
so what happened?
I talked to people. Can you find the show on that day?
Unreal.
Did he look through his notebook of ideas?
What a fucking bullshitter.
Exactly.
Records.
What happened was it was right in March, probably about March, somewhere between the 8th or the 11th, somewhere in that time frame where COVID was going on.
Yes.
It was right at the beginning where you'd heard about a pandemic and this and that, and then all of a sudden it hit you, went, oh, fuck, this thing's serious. So it was a Tuesday.
It was a month, well, more than a month into the fucking thing, and then you decide it's a pandemic. I gotta go home. It's funny. So anyway, let's keep going. There's only a little bit more of this clip.
Mm-hmm.
And we were supposed to do a show on Wednesday, and I think what happened was we were completely in confusion. Should we go to the studio? Should we not go to the studio? Well, anyway, we were all set to come in, and then everyone said it was really dangerous. This was a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic occurred. No, some people wanted to come in. I was getting nervous to come in because they were saying at that point.
Jennifer Witt said, Howard, can I count on you?
He totally championed to be shut down and sent home. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah.
This was a Wiggy mandate. We've got to get out of here.
Yeah,
because
question.
Panicky fucking ass.
Oh yeah, and if anything to keep him from going to work. He really doesn't care about work anymore. He just doesn't want to admit it. And when he does do the odd, oh, you'll not be happy being at home. No, he'd be happy doing as little work as possible, and that's always been his way. So the less work as he gets older, it's just even less and less he wants to have to do. So when we say, also incidentally, scripted, now we really do think it is scripted. Like there are certain things he absolutely has written out in front of him, not just the plan or the layout of the day, but like the schedule for the day, but absolute bits definitely are 100% written out for him. I believe it 100%.
I agree totally.
Yeah.
We knew nothing. Somebody breathes on you, you're going to fucking drop dead. It was Wednesday, March 11th. That was the date, 2020. And
also known as 2011. Okay, so 2020. How do we call that? 311. That was a line that I already used on Eric the Midget. Your birthday's 311. Do your parents call that 311? Okay, number 2, wig whining.
This day off that I had was just a complete fucking washout. There was no day off.
They told us to stay home.
We were told to stay home, that it was too dangerous. We have to come up with a new plan. And I was kind of like, oh, Jesus, I wish I had a microphone at home. Maybe I could do something. It was chaos. And, everyone was turning to me for answers like I know anything.
I had to throw down my paintbrush and get back on the fucking saddle.
Like I'm Chris Harrison and he's going to lecture on race. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to die from some fucking virus. So like a puss.
Okay, so there's that clip. The next one is Wig is the most honest man, which, God, this is a theme.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so when I heard, I was told that we missed a day off. You know the martyr I am. I go, well, it was a worldwide plague. And I really wasn't doing anything surreptitious. No one knew what to do. And I just assumed this was hardly a day off. It was actually the busiest day of my life trying to scramble to figure out how to do the show. I said, but listen, since there's a new contract.
Okay, since there's new contract. This is interesting. I'm glad you really grabbed this because it gives us a little insight into, the new COO and how they're holding him to the letter of the law, which is actually, you don't get to hear that behind the scenes stuff very much anymore. So that's cool.
I will make up the show. I will come into work. Instead of taking the day off, and I picked President's Day, I will come in on President's Day and do a makeup show. Because I don't want anyone to think that I'm a dishonest human being. That I'm trying to get away with it. So here we are.
The only reason I never...
Sorry, that's a re-hit on. It's my bad, guys. I laughed too hard and I hit the mouse. Yes.
What a dickwad. He just keeps pounding it into our heads that he's the most honest man. Nobody's fucking believing that anymore. And if they are, just just stop. Okay? He's not. He's the opposite of that. Like, why? Why do fans continually defend him? I just don't understand. It hurts. It really hurts. Like, I can't even read that shit. I just have to click X and X out. I can't look at it.
that super fan group is really, it's like a collective of, it's still real to me, damn it.
Guys,
Okay.
please wake up.
And he's married, guys. He's straight. Number 4, Wig pissing on his fans.
You thought for a minute we were with you because we love you and we can't bear to be away from you and we never want to miss a show. It has nothing to do with that. I hate to break the news to you. I'm always going to be upfront with you. Today is the bonus show.
A show.
And I said, I do not want to be beholden to anyone. I'm an honest man. If I owe you a show, stop saying it. It will be made up.
I never kept someone's job from them. I never banned anybody. There's no such thing as a red list. I never got a nose job. You want to count the lies? It'll look like Encyclopedia Britannica.
I never said the N-word. I was never in blackface. I never was a racist. I never paid Daniel Carver 25 G's to come on and pick ethnicities and rank them in order of gross to less gross.
I didn't say ching chung, ching chung. That was Sal who was racist, not me.
So we're working an extra day this year?
That's right. By the way.
Work. When they call it work, I just fucking laugh. So the next one is called Wig Losing Negotiations and Staff.
That must have been like a moment in the negotiation they thought they were losing something to bring that up.
Well,
really?
I could have said, which I didn't. One of our guys, Will, got COVID a few days later. My entire staff could have been wiped out. He had COVID. So,
wow.
I wasn't trying to get out of the show. I was up that morning. I was ready to come in.
Yep.
Did you hear Robin say that you must have been at a low point in your negotiations, that they brought this up and shoved it in your fucking face?
That was great.
Yeah, asshole. This was their ace in the hole that they were holding, like ready to just slam it on the table the minute he asked for too much money. It was like, look, you couldn't even do the right amount of shows last year.
Yeah.
You had 9 more months to make up the show and you knew it and you didn't do it.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know that we can count on you for next year to do the number of shows that we're asking. Or the other thing with this clip that is great is that Will had COVID right after they stopped. So I think there was talk amongst the staff, and that's again why Wiggy mandated that they go shut down and go home.
Yeah.
Because it was known that Will knew people that were sick. His wife got sick before him.
That's correct.
And then he got sick. So it must have been known on the staff that like Will's wife had COVID or got tested. But the thing about testing back then was you didn't get results right away. Like now you can get results in 15, 20 minutes. Back then, you had to wait a couple days, whether it was 2, 3, 5, 7 days. It took a while.
Yeah.
But I really, really think like his wife had symptoms. They were all in a panic mode back then. And it was just settling into our culture of the ramifications of getting sick with COVID. And as someone like, I went through it. I didn't want to believe I had it at first until I got tested. I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And it's just one of those things. You just got to suck it up and deal with it. But you don't know. Different people react differently. And that still is part of the fear that we have because everybody's coming from a different health background.
That's correct. And
we all know.
It's the asymptomatic people that, that have no idea that it's not an anti-mask or for or against, it doesn't matter. If you're asymptomatic and you're spreading and you have no idea, how much harm are you causing? So you should always be willing to give yourself up for it to be tested.
At this point, what I'm thinking is King Baby Veal himself was trying to get the show at home long before that date. As soon as he heard that this was going to happen, and they know in New York City how close people are and how easy that something like that would spread. They had to have known, and this was probably the soonest that he could get shit shut down.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny that you talk about the time lapse between testing and get the results. You said it took you 3 days at that time.
Back then, they didn't have the 15 to know. So 15 to know is like a rapid test. That gives you results via text or email.
Yep.
About 15 minutes after you take it. I know
Right.
because I had 2 of them and my son had 2 of them
Yep.
because we had close encounters with people that were positive. So we had to keep getting checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened later on into I want to say the summer and the fall. But back in March, we didn't have that. All we had was like local testing that was set up by the county, and you had to schedule. And usually if you tried to schedule, which we even looked at, was all booked up. It was like days. You might have to wait like a week just to get an appointment if you were sick then. So yeah, things were not set up really well back in March.
Well,
It was all too new.
See, in February, when I went into the hospital with my wife, I was there to take care of her for the 2 weeks. And we both had to get COVID tested on the Wednesday. She was admitted on the Friday. That day, like the Wednesday when we went in, we were just told, come in, get COVID tested because you can't be in the hospital without, getting one of these tests. They're just not going to let you in. You have to wait until you're, able to not infect other people if you test positive. And so instantly they gave us, there's, like you said, the right away test, which was like, okay, we don't think you have it, but just wait for the 24-hour results, or the one within a day. And sure enough, that night or within 18 hours, we got a text message saying we're negative, but try to stay indoors anyway because you don't want to get it in between that time,
right?
Before you go to the hospital. So anyway, so with Wig, in terms of this turnaround, I know if I'm certain with Will getting caught, like Will having it, he was fucking, he must have been nuts. He probably didn't sleep that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It
let's say
had
one.
to weigh on it. It had to weigh on his mind. Totally.
I think so. Yeah, on his 79 wind. Wig has a huge hole. Play one more clip, guys.
Career. I swear to you, I never had ulterior motives. If I had an ulterior motive, I had this dream that I would be so valuable to a radio station that they would love me. I'm going to confess to you something that a lot of people probably know already, and Robin certainly does. All I want to do is be loved. There is such an empty hole in my body from feeling neglected and not heard.
What?
I've been lied to. I've been made blue. When will I be loved? This is a fucking great clip. We'll finish this one, guys, and we'll cut it off from there.
That the reason, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'll tell you the reason I'm on the radio my entire life since I'm like 19 years old. I want to be loved.
He's completely unlovable. You've succeeded, Wig.
Yes.
All right,
Bobby,
guys.
I hope you enjoyed that.
Yes, we wanted to bookmark with that particular clip. We're going to continue from clip 7 onward to 27 for the day of the 15th, and we got lots more for you guys, so stay tuned. We'll get these out as fast as we can. And thank you so much for tuning in to us. We love you. Any shout-outs you want to give for this particular episode?
Oh, yes, please. I decided I'm going to break them up into different shows.
Okay.
Hold on, real quick.
Dun, dun.
Carol Gillette Cheney.
Yes.
Down in New Orleans, I believe. Thank you so much for your great messages, your private messages, and your public posts. You're a doll, and hang in there. Appreciate all you're doing. I wish I could do more for you. Mark Shabsovich, great job all around. Everything you're posting like every day. We appreciate that. Also, Gordon Chupko or Isaac Lightfoot, whichever one you want to go by. I want to thank you for being my partner in crime in the morning, along with a lot of other people, but sending me clips and messaging me things. He's an audio specialist. He has training in the audio world, so in broadcasting. And he has been sending me a lot of clips. I'm just not sure how they're going to play going forward in the future, but by the time we get up to Tom Morello, I should have that package put together.
Good.
Brendan Flaherty and Brandy. Thank you so much. You are another person, another soul that just stays with me in the morning no matter what, at all costs, and I love it. Bob Sisifo, you come up with some gems. You're there in the morning. Jeremy Shepard, when you're not in jail, I love having you around. You're like a brother that I always wanted.
We get him for conjugal visits. Go ahead.
Kayla, you or Kevin as your other name that we know you by. You're a doll too. Love you to death. Thank you so much for being here with me. Reggie Bowman, Chris Glenn, you guys, again, just great contributors. And we have a West Coaster. She's new, Christina Haberkern. I hope I said that right.
Yep.
Thank you. Even though you're posting on your West Coast time into our live threads in the morning, I totally appreciate it. It's all there. We check in throughout the day, even after the show's over. So keep up the great work.
And thanks also for that. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. Thank you very much for sending that picture of. She was in the studio with Wig, and she was. Because I think the conversation at the time was about how tall he really is, and she was trying to give her, her perspective on. Well, this is what I was wearing, like in terms of heels, and this is what I know how tall I am. So he really is 6'5" or 6'6" or whatever, freakishly fucking tall. And that wig, So I don't know, but either way. Perfect technique.
Does that still account for the hunch that he's got that takes off like 3 inches of him?
Well, no. So maybe with the hunch, I imagine if he's active, he's still fucking Ted Cassidy. If he's Lurch, with even like right now, then maybe 6'7". Who knows? I mean, he really should be a power forward, but he's a power bottom instead. So,
can I just mention a couple more people, please? And then I'll stop. Also, I have a couple more people here. Dennis DeMarco, you are such a sweet soul. I thank you so much for having the bravery to do the Rich shows and always being there when I need someone to bounce ideas off of. Daniel Stellan, like I mentioned you earlier, you're our friend across the pond. Great job. I don't care how long your posts are. They're always full of great quality and quantity. So thank you. Keep up the great work. Harold T. Boston, I think you're posting probably once or twice every day. So thank you for your contributions and your great posts along the way. And the last one I have is Damon Giles. These are people who've been with us for a long time. Damon, you are a solid contributor, and I really value you. And if you can make it to the live threads, great. If not, we see you all the time. So thank you guys. And it's so much fun, as always. So thank you. I hope this wasn't too long of a thank you, but I just really want to acknowledge people that put in the effort to help us with our cause. It means a lot, and we really love it.
Thank you so much for tuning into this one, guys. We love you and hope to see you on the next one.
Hey, you know what? That picture of Diana DeGarmo and you was good. You can't see the rifle someone has on her.
Yeah, whatever.
They're out of the frame, huh?
Good framing.
All right, Eric. We'll let the record note that you, in fact, are not stalking Diana DeGarmo. We got it.